Hi, this is Austin at DB Services, and today I'm going to show the Generate Response from Model script step that was introduced in FileMaker 2025. So on a high level, what this script step does is allows the user to enter in some sort of prompt to an AI model just using their regular speaking language, and the AI will respond to it. So the first thing that you're going to need to do in order to get started with this is you need to make an account with an AI model provider of your choice. For this demo and video, we are using OpenAI. All of the script steps that are shown in this video also support OpenAI, Anthropic, and Cohere, plus there's an option for custom as well. So you are not limited to just those three. Once you have your account created, you're going to need two pieces of information from it that will be plugged into these script steps. You're going to need the account name and the access token. So once you have both of those things, you are ready to start working. So just a quick little explanation of this file and how it works. Here is where we enter in our prompts. And down here is where the responses from the AI model are going to come through. So we have these two buttons here, send and send agentic. I will start off by just explaining send here. So this is just your generic AI chatbot, basically. You can ask it some general question and it will give you an answer. So I can do something very simple like give me a list of 5 fruits. And when I click send here, it is going to use this script step to communicate with the AI model, and the response comes back here. Here we have 5 fruits. We also have this send agentic button here, which you can use for much more specific use cases related to your file. So the way that works is you can define a list of tools being custom functions or some of the predefined functions that are listed in the Claris documentation for the script step. You can give the model access to the tools that you define, and it can then use those tools when answering your questions. So a very simple example of this here is grabbing the day of the week. So I can say, what day of the week is it? And when I do just the regular send, it's not going to want to work because it says it doesn't have real-time capabilities. Now, if I keep the same question and I ask it with the agentic button, it will work because we have a custom function in here, get day of week, that just spits out whatever the day of the week is for today. So when I click the send agentic button, it is then going to use that custom function to give us the day of the week. There it is. Same thing here, I can say, what is today's date? If I ask it here, it's not going to know because it doesn't know any real-time information. But if I ask the same question with agentic, it will work because I have a custom function that grabs today's date that I gave it access to. There it is. We also have here in this demo file an invoices table with just a couple basic fields, the total of the invoice, the status, the date, and an auto-generated invoice number every time we make a new one. So we have a couple different statuses here, paid, needs review, and pending. So you can actually ask questions to the model that would require the use of multiple different tools. So I could ask it like, how many invoices were issued last week? And it wouldn't know that at first because one, it doesn't have the real-time capabilities on its own, and two, it does not have access to anything in the file. But since I have these custom functions in place that I gave it access to, I can ask it those things and it will tell me. So I have this get invoice info custom function here. That's just a summary field. That's just a summary of a calc. that just spits out in a JSON the details of the invoice. So here it's just spitting out the invoice number, the status, the date, and the total. So it now has access to all of those different pieces of information. So like the example I just said, I can say how many invoices were issued last week. Now, if I click send, it's not going to know. See? And then if I ask it with this agentic button, since I gave it access to these tools, which I will go into more depth on here in a moment, now it will tell me that there were 4 invoices issued last week because it has access to the current date function, the day of the week function, the invoice info function. It's making calls to all of those custom functions to grab the information that it needs to answer my question. So now that I've just explained on a broad functionality level how this works, I'll go ahead and dive into the scripts to get a little bit more specific. So the first thing that you're going to need, regardless of whether you're just doing the normal send or an agentic send, is you are going to need this configure AI account script step. So the pieces of information that this is going to need is the account name, which we grabbed from the AI account at the beginning. Same thing with this secret key as well, your account name and your access token. And then you'll also need to say what model you are using. So like I said before, the 3 options given are OpenAI, Anthropic, and Cohere, but there's also an option for custom as well if you're using anything else. For this demo, everything just uses OpenAI. So once you run the script step, this is essentially connecting your FileMaker file to the AI model that you are going to be using. As long as this comes through with no error, then you're good to go and you can start using it. So this script here, generate prompt from model, this is just our generic one that just answers general questions and doesn't actually use any tools. So it wouldn't be able to answer questions about our file, about the records in the file. So the script step here is generate response from model. So the different pieces that it needs is, once again, needs the account name for your AI model provider account. The specific model that you are using. So like I said, we're using OpenAI, and the specific version that we're using is GPT-4. And then wherever you're storing your user prompt, so the field that we've been typing in to ask the questions is preferences prompt. And then it needs to know where the AI's response is going to go. So we are going to have it saved here on this preferences response field. We also have this temperature setting here. So the way that temperature works is it is a number value that essentially determines how predictable or how creative you want the responses to be. The range usually is from 0 to 2, but that could change depending on which model that you're using. For OpenAI, the range is 0 to 2, and OpenAI recommends that you only go up to 1 to avoid AI hallucination. So for this example here, we just have the temperature set to 0, which means it's going to use more common answers, less creative. So like we can think back to those fruits, for example. It gave us 5 very common fruits, but if we were to raise that temperature, we'd be more likely to get some uncommon answers. There are much more options for this script step here that I will go into detail for in the agentic script. This one here is just very, very simple. All you need to do is just configure the AI account and then just plug in your account name and your model and the prompt, and you are off. Next, I will go into the agentic script. So the basic setup of it is the exact same. So there's the same AI configure account subscript that it was using before, but This one is a little bit more complicated because you have to provide it some instructions as well as any tools that you are giving it access to. So we have here our general instructions for how we want the AI model to act and behave. Essentially saying that you are an assistant for this demo file. You are to answer questions about this demo file and only this demo file. I explicitly said that it has the ability to answer questions about invoices in this file. If anybody tries to ask it something unrelated to this demo file, it will just not answer. And it should never take a guess. It should only ever answer if it can give a concrete answer. So next, I'll kind of get into how the tools are defined. So this is the general structure of how the tools should look. You need to set a type, and the type needs to be function. You need to give the function a name as well. So this one is called retrieve image. You need to give a basic description of the function as well. So this is where you say in like your normal English what the function does and how the AI should utilize it. You need to set the type of the function as an object, um, or the parameters of type as an object. And then this is where we define each of our different parameters. So each of these behaves in the same way, where they have two parts. They have the description here, where you're just describing in your regular English how this parameter is used or what the parameter is. So the SQL query, we're basically just explaining a little bit more in depth. This is the SQL query that will be used to get the image that we're looking for. You also need to give it a type as well, which in this case is a string. We also have another one for table, the description just saying it's the name of the table that the image is in. A field, that's just the field that the image is in. And then down at the bottom, after you are done listing off all of the different parameters, you need to list which ones are required. So the way we have it set up here is we're just making a simple array of all of the different parameters split up by these bars here. So this is indicating that all three of these parameters are in fact required to use this tool. And then the ones pertaining to the prompts that I showed earlier in the video, this get day of week one, this one here is one of the custom functions that I made for this. You need to make sure that the name that you give the function, if it's a custom function, is the exact name with the exact same spelling and everything as you have it on the custom function. If you were to change it and give it a different name, it would not work. So this value here needs to match exactly the name of your custom function. Since this one doesn't have any parameters, the only pieces that we need is we need to define the type as a function, and then we need the name of the function, once again, matching the exact name of the custom function, and then a description of what it does. So this just very simply just tells you what day of the week it is. Same basic idea here with getting the current date. This one also did not require any parameters, just grabs the current date. And then this get invoice info here, same thing. This one also does not require any parameters. This is just grabbing a list of every invoice and all of the different fields on it. So returns a list of all the invoices in the file as JSON objects, and each JSON object includes the date, the number, the status, and the cost. We then are taking all of those tools and combining them together into an array using JSON make array. And then this tools variable is what we're going to actually pass into the script step as our list of tools that the model is going to have access to. So you're still going to need all those same pieces that the normal script up here used. You still need the same account name, the model, where the prompt is coming from, where the response is going to be saved. But there are a couple other pieces specific to agentic mode that you will need. So first, to enable agentic mode, you need to check this agentic mode box. Next, here we have the tool calls from model. So what this does is every time that the AI makes a call to use a tool, you can have that call be saved either to a variable or to a field that you specify. Um, there's also instructions here. So that is this general description of what the AI is doing and how it should behave. That's where you pass that in, is with that instruction setting. We also have messages. So this could be used in the regular non-agentic version of this as well. So basically what messages and save message history to is providing your model with context of prior messages. So if I were to normally ask without either of these boxes being checked, if I were to ask the model a question and then in a subsequent prompt say, what was my last question? It would not be able to tell me because by default, it does not save prior messages. But if I leave this messages box checked and give it a location to look for these previous messages, then it would be able to answer questions related to stuff that I asked it in the past. And then the save message history too is every time that I make a prompt and send it to the model, whatever I specify here, that is where those messages are going. So messages is where it is pulling past information from, and save message history to is where future messages will be saved. Temperature, we already just explained earlier. This is where you set that numerical value to determine how predictable you want the answers to be. And then this tool definitions here is where we pass in that list of tools that we defined up here. That about covers everything. If you need help integrating this script step into your FileMaker solution or anything else into your FileMaker solution, we would be more than happy to help here at DB Services. Thank you so much for watching and have a great day.